There we go, we're recording. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. I am the Foxy Writer. I don't know what that was, but today I am going to be talking about what I call the character, I'm already messing up, okay. What I call the Trauma Sunday, and I kind of want to maybe do a segment called Character Chats, where I just chat about character tropes and characters that I like and characters I don't, and why. Excuse me. First of all, I don't even know what my hair is doing today. I have literally growing out my bangs and they're just so awkward right now and don't want to do anything, so I'm just gonna kind of play with them, I guess, a little bit. Yeah, so just grab a drink. I'm drinking a grapefruit seltzer because I want to, I guess. I don't know. That's what I have in my fridge. So Trauma Sunday, and I don't know if I heard this somewhere or if I made it up. So I don't want to take credit in case I'm sure it's been said. I probably heard it somewhere. I just don't know where. But a Trauma Sunday is when a writer gives a character a whole shit ton of trauma for no reason. And they do this because they think it makes their character likable, oh, everyone's gonna like this character because they feel bad, because they've had this terrible life. And I hate it because it, in my opinion, very much trivializes trauma and abuse, and it's not cute. It's not a way to make people, it's not a shortcut to make people like your character. Trauma and abuse aren't bad things to have a character gone through. It does make, when it's done correctly, it does make the character relatable. It can help other people understand certain kinds of trauma, you know what I mean? And it's a really good tool to bringing trauma and issues like that into the mainstream and into into people's lives, it's a way to explain and show trauma to people who haven't experienced it and might not have had someone close to them experience it. So if they ever, for some reason, are exposed to it, if someone else that they're become friends with have been through it, they maybe can understand. They probably won't understand exactly what the person's going through just because they read a book or watched a movie with a character who went through X trauma. Oh, my hair. Anyway, I apologize. The neighbors are mowing the lawn, so if you guys can hear that in the background, oops. So, Trauma Sundays, to me, just make me so irritated, like I said, when characters went through sexual abuse, and they just bring it up to show how sad or depressed the character is, and they, never mention it again. That would be an example. Parents who are unreasonably abusive to their children for no reason. And a lot of times with the abusive parents, they play it off more as that, oh, they're just mean, strict parents, but they're really kind of abusive. One example is a book I read called, let me sit this down, Crazy Cupid Love, and the mom, Jesus Christ, don't drop that. Okay, the mom in the book is just so mean to her daughter, and I think it's not supposed to be an abuse thing. It's supposed to be just a mean mom, but this mom seems pretty mentally abusive. She always talks about how her daughter can't do things and makes her daughter feel so worthless, and there's a point where her dad has a heart attack and the character makes a mistake accidentally, and the mom's like, get out, we don't want to deal with this today, and it's a bit much. I mean, maybe that's not quite abusive, but it kind of feels pretty mentally abusive to me, and they kind of just make it for no reason, to make the character sympathetic, and that is literally the worst, because there are people who do have who have had emotionally abusive parents, and to trivialize it like that is just stupid, and to make it, you're cheapening the experience that other people have had, in my opinion. Another example of this would be Tasha Yar from Star Trek, and I will caveat this by saying she only was in half of season 1, so maybe they did plan to expand on this a little bit more, but they talk about how, she was from a colonized planet or moon or some shit like that, a colony, and it was just complete anarchy, and there was a lot of like assaults, murders, drug use, yada yada, the whole fucking 9 yards. She grew up in it. She was rescued by Starfleet from there, which is why she became a Starfleet officer. And they reference her having that hard time in the colonies a lot, and they like never really show anything. I think the most they went into it was an episode where they had a planet addicted to drugs, and one of the kids was like, why would anyone get addicted to drugs? Just don't do it. And Tasha was explaining to him, like, hey, I grew up at like a colony where there's a lot of drugs, and it was because people needed an escapism. People don't purposely go like, I'm gonna get addicted to crack because that sounds fun. They have things in their lives that lead them to that. So that was like the most in-depth they ever explained or used that traumatic childhood to better the series and better her as a character. So I just felt like they were just trying to make her really sympathetic right away, and it didn't work because I thought it was stupid because it didn't really show why how it impacted her, how she grew from it. They just referenced it to make it sad. I don't know. But like I said, she only was in the first half of the series, the first season. She left the show, so they kind of killed her character off. So who knows? Maybe they planned to explore it. Maybe they would have made it and used it in a better way, but we'll never know. So that's another example. Yeah, I don't know. They just really, really irritates me. And even like the abused orphan trope, like Harry Potter, like the kid under the stairs, I feel like that was another traumatic thing that literally had no effect to the book, except for a few times. So like, I don't know, I feel like they didn't really show how it really affected Harry's character besides making him the sad, lonely orphan boy that is also the chosen one. So, I mean, I guess he wasn't allowed to go over to that, like, town with all the kids to go buy candy and shit because his aunt and uncle were super mean and shit. So, I mean, he got to, like, go into the haunted-ass woods and, like, fight this big, bad, evil, like, fucking wizard Hitler and shit. But no, he can't go get candy. No, not without parents' permission. He can do all the other stuff, and not candy. No, but, I mean, grapefruit. I don't like grapefruit that much. So, what did it add to the story of Harry Potter? Maybe it did, I don't know. I guess I haven't read the books in forever, since, like, senior year of high school, but I mean, I just feel like they did it to just make the character sympathetic, and it's stupid. If you want to show, and there is such I mean, he was not in the foster system, but he was, he was adopted in family. But when it comes to the foster care system, there's so much abuse and misuse of the foster care system and abuse towards the children and neglect, and it is so sad. And if you're going to have an orphan character kind of be abused and neglected, why not use it to show the flaw in that system? Use it for a good purpose. Don't just do it so people like, oh, that poor little kid, look at his adopted parents, they're so mean. Make it to show something or to show how kids react. Oh, sorry, I got a notification. Okay. Kids who are abused act out, they isolate themselves. There's a lot of different things, and you could have, J.K. Rowling could have used that to show how kids actually act, to show that effect, because then people could understand it more. Because a lot of kids that are abused act out in school, for example, and people think they're just bad kids, but really there could be a lot going on at home you don't know about. Teachers don't know about, and you can use that to show that, and then you're teaching people, and you're furthering the human experience by showing this to people who otherwise wouldn't have known about it. And instead you're just like, no, I just want to, I'm just gonna make a sympathetic character, so I'm just gonna make them abused. If you're going to use trauma, abuse, etc. in your stories and characters, make them realistic and make it an experience to show the world how that affects people. And there's lots of different ways. It doesn't affect every person the same way. So you have a lot of different options you can explore. You don't always have to make it the same. but you should be oh, my hair is so bad. You should be showing people and teaching people about it. You know, if you're writing a book about a character and they're in a car crash, show how that affects them. Don't just make it they were in a car crash, OMG, so tragic, and then they're fine to drive like a week later because you need them to drive somewhere in the story. Make it so the character doesn't want to drive. You know, maybe they have to drive, and you can use that to show what that experience and that traumatic experience is like. And you can show it in a way that makes your story even better. It is even more compelling when they don't want to drive and they have to get over that and they have to learn how to deal with it, and you get to see that expression and that emotion. It makes it so much better than if you just make a car crash because it's dramatic and then stick them in a car like a couple scenes later. You know what I mean? Another thing I hate is the abuses cute trend. People making abusive ass romantic relationship and like they think it's okay, or they make an abusive relationship just to give some drama to their story, and that is not okay. And that is so not okay. I mean, I know people probably don't do it intentionally to be offensive or to be horrible people. So if you're a writer who has done this or anything, I'm not saying you're like this god-awful evil person, but in what reality do you think putting abuse in relationships and trying to make it seem cute is okay? Like, that is just so horrible. Women are more likely to be murdered by their partners than by a stranger. There's a lot of abuse across America, and it's so hard for victims to get out of relationships that are abusive. It's really hard to get help in the courts and with the police. So for you to be trying to romanticize it and make it seem cute is just disgusting. If you want to write about an abusive relationship, write about it. Write about the struggle that women have to leave. Write about the fear. Write about how it affects you down the line. Write about how hard it is for women to get restraining orders or to build up police records and get protection from their partners who are abusive. And men too. I'm saying women because it does happen more to women, but it happens to men too. And write about that. Write about write about men who are abused, because it is something we don't talk about as much as we should. Just don't make it cute. And if you're writing about maybe an abusive partner trying to come back into somebody's life, and you're using it to just make drama and tension between your two main love interests, that's also pretty bad, because abuse isn't a literary device. It's not something you can just add in to spice up your story. If you want to write about that, write about the realistic parts of it. And those are the kinds of stories that are going to help people. Those are the kind of stories that when a girl or a guy picks them up and looks at them and says and thinks about how similar it is to their abusive relationship, maybe it can help them get out of it, help open their eyes. It can help people identify signs of abusive relationships, learning about a realistic abusive relationships in your book. So you can actually help people. But if you romanticize it and you make it seem cute, you could potentially be hurting someone. If you have someone who's younger, or someone who's, someone younger in an abusive relationship, or someone who doesn't really have an understanding of what a healthy relationship is, they can read your book with that abusive shit in it and think that it's normal. And maybe their relationship mimics it, so they just think it's fine because it's in a romance book. And obviously people shouldn't take everything they read at face value, but as a writer, you do have to understand what you write will influence some people. So if you're writing about cute abusive relationships, there are some readers who will take that to mean that that's what a relationship is, when it's not. So that is such a pet peeve of mine, because it is literally so bad. There's so many things you can do with trauma and abuse that you can use to help people. You can use to explain things to people, to present them with new information, and to take that opportunity and to not only waste it, but to just trivialize it is just so bad. And like I said, I don't understand why people do it. I kind of do, I guess. I think a lot of people maybe don't think about it. And with the abusive relationship, it's kind of a trend, I think, in literature a little bit. So I guess I understand people thinking it's okay to write about because of a lot of other people are. But it's something we should be educating ourselves and educating other people on what we should and shouldn't be writing with sensitive topics like traumatic events and abusive events. There is no reason to romanticize and trivialize it. It's fine to write about it, but don't make it cute. Don't make it a trend. Don't make it something to add drama or make sympathetic characters, Use it to help people and use it to explain things and educate people. Anyway, I feel like I got a little heated because it's something that actually seriously bothers me. But if you guys, like I said, if you guys are writing, if you have written books or are writing books and you realize like you're kind of doing that, like I said, I'm not saying you're a bad person, but you do have the responsibility to change it and to educate yourself. And that's kind of why I wanted to post this video, and just to kind of rant, I guess. Yeah, anyway, on that super uplifting fun note, I think I'm going to end this video. Next character chat I think I'm going to talk about something a little more lighthearted. I'm going to talk about my favorite sci-fi characters and why I like them. Anyway, this is a goodbye for now. Have a good one, guys.